What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Nash, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to clean up data in Microsoft Excel. And this is going to be super realistic, nothing too complicated. If you work as an analyst or anyone that works with data, these are some of the skills that you need to have. So let's go ahead and get started here. All right, so before I get into the data, if you guys want to download data like this, you can go to a website like Kaggle. This is where you're going to be able to find a lot of free data that you can use to practice like this. Not sponsored, but I think this is a really good source to find information like that, okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and go back to our Microsoft Excel data here. So this is a lot of data here, okay? Let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit. So when you have a lot of data like this, the first thing you want to do is kind of like just browse to see if there's anything that stands out, okay? Now, this is not too much, but if you had a lot of data, just kind of like do a quick view of the data and, look for things that you think you're going to need to clean up. So now looking at this data here, the first thing I'm going to be cleaning up is going to be the invoice ID, right? So sometimes when you have ID numbers, they usually don't require these dashes that we have on the invoice ID. So you always want to remove those depending on the data, unless it's a social security number where you might need those dashes. But other numbers like invoice IDs or just an ID, usually you don't need the dashes. So that's the first thing I'm going to be removing. So I'm going to select this entire column A, select the entire thing. And I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Control H. This is find and replace, okay? Or you can do Control F, but it's going to take you to where it says find here. So you want to switch over to replace, where it's going to, let me go ahead and make this a little bigger. Okay. So it's going to be asking you what to find. This is going to be the thing that we want to remove from, the data that's in this column. So I'm going to be removing the dashes, right? So I'm going to go ahead and type in a dash in here, and I want to replace it with nothing, right? Because we just want to remove this and replace it with nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and say replace all. All right, so as you can see, there were 2,000 replacements. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this. Now you can see that we don't have those dashes, right? And let's just go ahead and left align our values in here. So I'll just select the entire column again, and I'll go up here and just align it to the left so it looks a lot better, okay? So that was the first thing we had to clean up. Now, the second thing I want to clean up is going to be, if we look on this tab here where it says gender, you can see that it has two values here. It says member and it says female, or member or something, and then male in the gender. So we want to be able to separate these two into two different columns, okay? Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go ahead and create another column here. Right click and insert. Right click and insert. So two columns. Once we have our two columns, I'm going to select column D where we have the data that we're trying to separate, and we're going to go ahead and switch over to data up here, and we're going to go to text to columns, which is right up here. So click text to columns. All right, so now we have our pop-up box here. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bigger. Can I do that? No, probably not. Okay. All right, so I'm going to switch over from fixed width to delimited. Click on that. Go ahead and hit next. Okay. All right, so once you get here, this is the most important part. So it's going to ask you what is separating the two data sets that you have, right? So for this, you can see that this is not a tab, this is not a semicolon, this is not a comma. So this is not a space, but we have a dash in between, right? So I'm going to go ahead and select other, and I'm going to type it in here. I'll type in the dash. There you go. And you can see a preview here where how the data is going to be separated, okay? So once you do that, I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And I'm going to go ahead and select a text because this is text here. It's not anything else. It's just text. I'll go ahead and hit finish. There we go. Now our data is separated, right? So this is actually not the gender. So let me go ahead and copy this and I'll paste it over here. And I'll change this to, I think this is the member type, right? Because you have a member, you have, what is it, normal. So this is a customer type, right? If it's a store that has memberships, it might be a normal customer without a membership, or maybe someone with a membership. So I'm gonna change this to customer type, okay? Not like that. There you go. So now we have our data here. So looks like we didn't need this. I'm gonna delete that over here. I'll just go ahead and make these bold here. So, all right, cool. So now we have, this is the second thing that we did. We separated the customer type with the gender. Now it makes more sense, right? Now the next thing I want to show you is going to be the product line column here. So you can see these are the products that are being bought. So the only thing we can do here is maybe capitalize the first letter for each word in here, because it looks a lot cleaner than how it looks right now, all lowercase. So I'm going to go ahead and insert another column here. So insert, there we go. and I'm going to use the proper formula. So I'm going to do equal sign proper like that, and I will select this over here, this cell, and close that, click enter. As you can see, it just capitalizes the first letter for each word, right? And just double click down right here, or you can drag that down. You could also go like this, you can drag it down like that, but it makes more sense to just double click right here, so it just does it for you. Okay, now this looks a lot cleaner, so I'll just copy this title over, put it over here. You want to make sure that you remove the formulas. So the easiest way to do this, select the entire column, copy this, and then right click again and paste as values right here. So where it says 1, 2, 3, paste as values, the formulas will disappear. Okay. And also, pro tip, if you're working with a lot of data, you're going to be deleting a bunch of stuff. You want to make sure that you save an original copy just in case you delete something that you weren't trying to delete. All right, I'm going to go ahead and delete that over there. So now we have, this looks a lot nicer. Okay. All right, next thing is going to be our payment. All right, so you can see that this is a type of payment. You have e-wallet, cash, credit, you know, the types of payments that the store is receiving. And the problem with this column, you can see that there's spaces on some of these cells here. So if I click this one, you can remove it by, you know, going like this, but you don't want to do this with a lot of data like this, right? You're not trying to do all that. Now we can use a formula that's going to allow us to just remove all this space, and that's going to be the trim formula. So I'm just going to go ahead and insert another column here, and the formula goes trim, kind of like that. And I'll select this cell and close that parenthesis and enter. So you can see that it gets rid of, it's going to get rid of that space. So I'm going to double click here to copy this down. You see that we no longer have that extra space, right? I'll copy this, put it over here. I'll remove formulas by copying the entire column where we have our formula. You can see it over here, right? And let me do that again. I'll copy that again, and I'll right click again and paste as values. This is going to remove all the formulas. So now I can delete this here, okay? And for things like the unit price, this is obviously supposed to be in dollars, so you can select the entire thing, go to home up here, and just select dollars, and you see that we have our dollars right here. Also for the tax, this is also supposed to be in dollars as well, so you can just, these are simple things that you can do, right? You also have the total price, you can do that as well. Or you can also select multiple things here, right? You can select over here, I think this is money as well. We can hold control, so I can select this entire column, hold control, then select this column as well. It's going to select both, and I'll hit the dollar sign up here and make sure that this is big. Okay, so these are our dollars. Now the next thing I want to show you is going to be over here where it says date. This does not look like a date. Okay, that's because this is in text format. So the way you can fix this is by selecting the entire column here, and we can go click this drop down here where we're going to find more options, right? You have short date that you can use here, long date. You can pick either one of these, but I prefer the short date where it's going to convert that text into a short date. Now we have our date on here, okay? Now there's also time here. If you want to change this to a different format, you also have the ability to do so. So I'll select this and I'll click the drop down and I'll just select time. As you can see, this is more detailed time, right? If you don't want that, you can leave it as is, but I think this looks a lot more, you know, if it's a report that needs to be presented to someone who's not too familiar with data like that, you might want to put it in terms where they can see, oh, it's 1 p.m., this is 10 a.m. All right, now the last thing I want to show you is going to be the margin percentage. Sometimes you need to convert this into actual percentage, right? Right now you can see that this is just general. So to convert this to a percentage, you can select this entire thing. And if you hit percentage here sometimes, you're going to see that this is going to say 476%, which is not true. So if I do Control Z, one trick that you can use for this is by using just doing simple math. So you could do equal sign this amount divided by 100. I'm gonna go ahead and select that. All right, so once we have this, you can actually select the entire column and you can just hit a percentage over here. There we go. Now you can see that the 4.7 is, you can round it up to 5%. If you don't want to round it up, you can use these over here, okay? So 4.76 if you want to do it this way. Now we can copy this and put it right here. And let's remove all the formulas from here. So copy that, right click and paste as values. Now we can delete this over here. There we go. All right, so that is pretty much it when it comes to how you can clean up data in Microsoft Excel. And some of the things I was showing you, these are things that you're going to have to do every time you're cleaning up data. So this should help you get started. Let me know if you guys want to see more videos like this. There's obviously way more things that you can do with Excel to clean up data. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to go and hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.